Mic check, mic check. This is going to be my unfiltered first impressions of the DZO Pavo Anamorphics 2x. Straight away, first of all, I think that it is too heavy. It is bigger than the Blazars that I've used in the past. Secondly, I think that the 2x anamorphic is too wide in terms of a scope for a 16:9 center like the Sony A7 IVs. Also, the minimum focus and distance is quite a long one. It has a really long focus throw. So for a first AC, for even things like the small rig follow focus, this would be a lot of distance to cover. But you probably already know all of this things. I'm gonna be using it for something. Yeah, let's see what this lens could really do.
Feel the liquid love.
Anytime you see this frame, this is no longer the DZO Pavo Anamorphics because I don't own them. I've had to return them, which leads me to the next thing, is that DZO did not send me these lenses. I have zero affiliation with DZO. So for me, this is just a practical review of how I've been able to use this lens and some of the things that I found. And guess what? I actually have a list of them. I wrote them down because I didn't want to forget. Look. So I think that overall, my experience with this lens has been very good. The first thing that I want to talk about is that the focus breathing is very, very minimal. And you can see that in some of the shots that we try to pull off when going from one focus plane to another. The shots were fairly consistent and the image wasn't jumping about. So for me, that was really, really impressive, knowing that I can rely on this thing to give me a good image. The next thing is that there is distortion, but I like the fact that it is well controlled. If you are filming anamorphic, it is almost impossible to not get distortion, whether it's pin cushion or barrel distortion. In this case, I believe the DZOs exhibit barrel distortion, which for me, I sort of prefer. And I like the fact that they're well controlled. They do not go out of place and just like ruin the whole image. So DZO really gets a good point in that regard. The next thing is that I like how this lens renders skin tone. I'm someone who is extremely bored of photography lenses, which is why now I've sort of started switching down to the Helios and the Mir for a lot of what I will personally film that is not a commercial, because they just give me sweet images. I'm talking sweet, people. They give me images that I'm very, very well pleased with right out of camera and just give the look that I want. The DZO Pavos as well, they sort of do that. They render skin tones, in my opinion, really, really nice. I don't know if it's gonna be the best I've seen so far, but it's really up there in terms of how this renders skin tone. And then in terms of the sharpness of the image as well, I strongly believe that they perform really well. They're not too soft as a lot of anamorphic lenses in the past have been, especially in this budget price range, which, hey, we need to talk about pricing and what is going on in the market. And I'll probably talk about that just right after, right after this.
The real man. Just put barbecue sauce.
That's deep.
The next thing is that the bokeh people, bokeh is, it's bokelicious. They're not sharp. They're creamy. They're nice. They're good. I think this is also something that is really subjective because there is no standard definition for what a bokeh should be, but it doesn't fail the eye test. You see it, you like it, and it looks good. That's the only way that I could define that. I don't think there's a professional way to measure bokeh, but the bokeh that this lens produces is really, really pleasing to the eye. Another thing that from a technical standpoint that I liked was the fact that the color was consistent across different focal lengths. So we got the 35, the 55, and the 100, and we didn't have any color reproduction issues. Actually, that's not true. We were filming on two different cameras. We shot on the red in Red RAW, and I think that in transcoding that back to ProRes, because there was no color correction done or like anything, no, actually, we set everything to the same white balance in camera. So yeah, I take that back. The colors are not consistent. There's a very slight green shift. I had to take out some green from the Komodo footage to match the Sony's. So whether that's a Komodo thing or a Sony thing or a lens thing, I have to look into that more. But overall, it wasn't too bad. But it is what it is. And lastly, in terms of what I was impressed with, this lens is really, really designed in a solid way. Once you hold this and you put it in your hands, you get the feel that this is a premium piece of gear and it's not just finicky, funny design that's been made. This gear is solid, and I think for a lot of people, you will feel that same way. Now, let's go into a couple of things that I did not particularly like or that I wasn't impressed with. The first one is the fact that, yes, this thing's an amazing lens, but the focus throw on this is really long. It'll be a lot of work for first ACs. It'll be a lot of work for someone who's trying to pull focus. Whether you want to get this yourself or you want to rent it out to someone or you're working on a production as a first AC, the focus throw on this thing is really long. So if you have to do a fast focus rack, I don't know, it's gonna be a challenge unless you have incredible hands that I do not possess. Let me know if you're a first AC, is that something that is a problem? Is that something you usually consider? Or if you pull focus yourself, do you think that a long focus throw is a problem? Personally, yeah, that's what I think. I think it's too long. The next thing is that if you get this lens, you're not going to be able to fly this on most gimbals. So take that away from the practical usability of this. Gimbal shots, I don't think you'll be getting a lot of them. I mean, once again, I'm assuming that a lot of people who are watching this video are people that, use regular gimbals for like pro consumers or like regular consumers. A lot of those gimbals might not be able to carry this thing. So you're best suited looking for more lighter options. I think like the Blazars, for example, or I don't know, what other ones are there? Yeah, I don't know. But this definitely is a heavy, big boy, and in a good way. It's heavy, it's well designed, but it doesn't work on a gimbal for most cameras. Which now brings me to the final thing that I was talking about, price. The pricing on this is, I don't know as of this moment, but I'll put it up here on the screen. That sort of takes this away from DZO budget option, because the big question now is companies like Blazar, I think Blazar is actually the only one. Blazar is starting to make more affordable options. So the question is DZO trying to move away from creating budget options for filmmakers and video creators like ourselves, or is Blazar just coming into the market and lowering the price while still providing quality for people? So I guess that is the big question. Is DZO now no longer a budget option for creators? It's a good lens that anyone should use. If you can rent them, rent them. If you could buy them, power to the people. But I don't think it's a budget option for a lot of creators, despite the fact that it is an amazing piece of glass that offers incredible, incredible image rendition. And with that being said, have a great one, people. Bye. Turn it off. How do you turn it off?